are live. This Hangout on Air is live. Woohoo! Show us those guns. Let's see it. Come on. Stretching early on a Friday morning. Well, and we definitely haven't done the hang. Right? So hopefully my lighting is better than usual.
Ooh.
We have enhanced equipment here at schoolofbookkeeping.com.
Yes, there's some pinks in there now.
We have more lights. And
we have trees down in Southern California too. Wow.
I had our videographer come here to kind of assess the lighting, and he brought a much more powerful light than the one I've had. So we have 2 lights on me now, trying to balance everything. And so before it would I would be light, but everything behind me would be dark. So we've solved that problem. We also figured out that by opening up the shades and letting more light in coming the other way helps us. I'm learning a lot about video and lighting. It's fun. Fun, fun, fun. And now Sarah says help. So we've got the link there in the event where I wrote join us here. You'll see the long, ugly-looking URL. That, for those of you kids watching at home who want to get on this panel, that is what you click on to access the Hangout.
Well, I don't think that's what her question is. What do you mean that there? You need to tell what? Don't you have to go straight to your School of Bookkeeping page?
No, once the Hangout goes live, there's a link that's in the Hangout window itself that I've posted in the event so that people can access it that way. And that's worked. In the past, that's always worked.
Just in their mainstream?
On the actual event, as a comment, I posted a link saying join us here. And there's a link to, in this actual Hangout window, if you look at the very top, you'll see the whole URL. Right? If you look at the top of the very window where you're looking at my mug, you'll see the URL where it says https://plus.google.com/hangout/_/HOA event and the whole string. If you copy that whole thing and paste it, people can click on that. But again, the one caveat still exists that they have to be in the page's circles and they have to have the page in their circles. So I think that's why I couldn't get Woody in here, is because I don't think he's added the page to his circles yet. I've added him to the page's circles. So it's got to be both, otherwise they can't get in.
So do I go to the because I stumbled on it, but I know I had lots of trouble too weeks ago. You go to the Google Plus Home thing and that drop down and you go to Pages?
Well, no. Normally, and what I explained in my video, before the Hangout actually goes live, if you want to get in, especially if you want to be in on this live panel, then the best place to go is to the School of Bookkeeping page, because that's where I launched the invite from. What happens all too often, though, at least lately, is, and it happened again this morning, is when I launch the Hangout, when I click the Start button to start the Hangout, it'll launch, and like this morning I noticed my camera wasn't going on again. And I usually say, uh-oh, that means I'm going to get an error. And sure enough, I did. I got it, but not before Dennis and Larry were able to get in. So they were able to get in, but then once I got the error, and eventually I had to refresh my Hangout window, and then when I refreshed my Google Plus schoolofbookkeeping.com page, sure enough, the post that's got the Join Hangout button in it, the one that you normally need to click on in order to get in here, that was gone, which means that nobody can access that anymore, which is why then I had to take the link here and actually post it in the event itself. And then, yeah, no, it's ridiculous. And this is where Google has made such a mess, of this whole technology. And then I go in, and from within here I can send an invite, and I have a feeling that's how all you guys are able to get in.
I got it through the link, yep. I actually had my Hangout up, and I did see Larry get into your event, and then everything disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Doug's searching.
Just got another link on my phone for this Hangout.
You have to really want to come to your Hangout, Seth.
Well, that's what makes me so proud, is that apparently people really do want to come to it. People will go to great lengths to join our Hangout.
And Sarah's out there probably saying, help! They're excluding me.
Oh, she's on her iPad, and she says it doesn't support her browser.
I had to install it again for some reason.
So, Sarah, I guess, I don't know. this is why I'm not a fan of tablets yet. I still love using my laptop. My laptop is small and light enough that it's just as portable to me as a tablet would be, and I still just don't really like doing a lot of stuff on mobile devices. That's why, I mean, I know that a lot of people are hot on that. I would never want to manage a QuickBooks file on a mobile device. I want a screen that's nice and big so I can lay things out, spread them out, and do what I want to do. And I just, as much as I am a big fan in general of mobile technology and the new way and things in the cloud, I just don't like, there's certain things I can't see ever really getting into doing on a mobile device, especially a small one. You know, I still like my laptop. Good morning, Tim.
Good morning. I had to kick someone out.
Hey, Tim.
Aha! Who'd you kick out?
I don't know. It wouldn't let me in. It said it was full multiple times.
I think Rhonda got out.
10 is it?
I kept pushing somebody. At first it was Doug, but Doug wouldn't move. So hi, Doug.
You have to get under his chair and roll him away.
Well, as hard as he had to work to get in, we're not getting out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sarah's sitting there trying to get in. Maybe that's her problem.
I wonder if Woody had the same problem.
Yeah.
Well, we're at 10 now, so.
Oh boy. Okay, I need to kick somebody out.
You can kick me.
No, not here, not here. There's somebody who has apparently joined this group who
Is selling sunglasses.
Spamming.
No, who has a very inappropriate profile picture. So we need to.
Yeah.
Is her name Candy?
Notice how he's looking at it, right?
Yeah, I'm like, wow.
You can go look at it.
Don't look at it. Don't look at it.
It's a guy.
Oh.
So I'm just trying to figure out how to block him, which of course you would think that would be easy enough to figure out how to do.
Oh my God.
Well, while you're figuring that out, Seth, let me just talk about something. Okay, how many people love to write?
Oh, right.
Oh, really?
Really? I can't stand it.
I love writing.
For 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. So let's say you have to write a 2,000-word article. How long is it going to take you to write it?
A couple hours.
I don't know.
Couple
Depends on what the topic is and
A couple hours to
if
write
I
it.
got to interview anybody.
Let's say
Write about taxes. You got to research. Make sure you get everything.
yeah, but let's even see. Well, okay, you got that research, but no. Let's say you've already done the research. You know everything that you about the topic, and you just want to lay it down.
30 minutes, maybe.
30.
It's going to take more than that. Half a day?
I'm gone for a couple hours.
Yeah, I'd say a couple hours.
Wow, you guys are fast.
Yeah, I think it's longer.
Dragon, naturally speaking, is awesome.
Yeah, but there's got to be a draft. Then you got to go through and read and edit and reformat. I mean, it takes tweaking. It takes time. The actual writing part is fast because you lay it down, but then you start tweaking, and that's what takes a long time. I find.
That's right. That's I think it. So, how long will it take you to talk about what you want to say and put down a mostly perfect 2,000-word article?
I think talking goes faster.
So, see the link I put into the chat there? www.rev.com, rev.com. So, this coolest thing. I feel like I just found my new best friend. So
You're not into too many things already.
I know. This is what Seth does. But anyway, you just record.
He's rubbing off on you.
Yeah, you record your voice, and they have a mobile app. You can put it right on here. You can just record what you're going to say, upload the WAV file or whatever the recording format is here or on your computer. You upload it. You pay $1 a minute, and within about 8 hours, maybe 24 hours, they send you back this. And
nice.
It's perfectly formatted. They take out the ums and ahs. You could have them leave in the ums and ahs, but you have to pay them extra for that. and it's perfect. It's a human that's listening to you and putting it down. So it's not just what Dragon would do, which would be maybe too literal and maybe screw up a little bit. This is a human, and they put it in, and it's like ready to push go.
So it's like a transcription service then.
Transcription service.
What's the name of it?
Nice.
Rev.com. R-E-V.
Looks
rev.com.
question is, are they here in America or are they somewhere else?
San Francisco.
Okay, good.
But that doesn't mean that that's where the transcribers are. I'm sure it's an internet thing. But I just got my 5,700 word thing. I'm still reading through it, frankly, because there's so much to read, and I say, wait, I said that. Did I really say that? But it's perfect.
Nice.
So I have to say though, honestly, and I'm not saying I think this could still work, but I enjoy the process of sitting down with my laptop and writing what I write. I still see myself doing that because I first of all, very different written. What your written word is going to come out very differently than your spoken. And I think there's a big difference, and I think actually taking the time to, and there's even arguments for actually handwriting something because that really forces you to slow down your thought process and really think about what you're saying as you're saying it. So there are still strong arguments for writing things out by hand before you even type them up. I suppose then what would be great is to have somebody to take what I've written and then turn it into like what you've just shown us, Doug.
So yeah, and that's why I kind of prefaced it with, what if you already know everything you want to say, and you just need to go lay it down? But of course, the laying down for me with a typewriter, keyboard, whatever, the laying down and structuring the document is much harder if I don't know, it's something about my brain, I can talk, but it gets harder to, when I'm putting it here, I'm in the trees instead of the forest. So I can stay in the forest when I'm talking, but I get in the trees when I'm, on the keyboard, and so it's this. And I suppose everybody will be a little different here, but it's this. It frees me up to just get through it, and of course, then you edit whatever it is. I can move things around later, but I usually can speak better.
You know what I like about that, Doug, is that a lot of times I'm thinking of things, and when I go to write it, it's like, oh gosh, I forgot that thought, that really important thing. And when you put it, it's like transcribing. Like I have this app on my iPhone that when I have a thought or something, I just say it, and it takes it to my memos, which I really love because when I have that problem that when I'm writing something, even composing an email, sometimes I can forget what was the exact thing I wanted to say. So with this Rev, you can talk to it. It holds your every thought because we think faster than we write. I really believe that, at least for me.
I think that's it. It's just another tool.
No, it sounds really cool. I actually use Evernote's voice recorder for those kind of, like when I'm in my car and I get a fleeting thought and I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
Hercules
is joining us now. He's here. He just got a haircut this week, so he wants to show it off.
He actually likes his haircuts?
He he hadn't gotten a haircut in so long. His hair was really long. I think it was getting hot because my wife pointed out this morning that since she cut his hair at night, he's been going under the blanket more. So obviously, he was too hot when he had his. That's right, buddy. All right, so it's 8:15. It's time for the main event. Anybody here use Qbox before?
No. We're virgins.
Okay, so I never heard of this before last week until Sarah told us about it. So Sarah had sent me a link last week, shortly after the Hangout, very promptly, and of course I waited until last night to take a look at it because that was the first time I had time, and I didn't even really have time. But I said before I go to sleep, I've got to look at this and know what I'm going to be talking about in the Hangout. So I went and read, and it's funny, I learned an important lesson because I read on LinkedIn in the thread that she sent me to, just the last few comments, and so immediately I'm like, well, this looks like Dropbox, and what about the locking and, the data corruption issues and all that? And then I went back and read from the beginning, and I realized that that issue had been addressed sufficiently. So I had to jump back, and luckily LinkedIn gives you like 15 minutes to delete your comments or edit them. So I deleted my comment because I didn't want to look stupid. So, because I hate that. That's one of my own pet peeves is when somebody like doesn't read everything and then they ask something in a thread that's already been asked and answered. I always think of like my legal shows when they say "asked and answered, Your Honor." So I didn't want to be one of those people.
Yeah, but when there's 129 responses.
Yeah, and no, I did. I spent quite a bit of time reading from the very first comment all the way through, and there was a guy from the company that makes Qbox who was, you know, responding and doing a great job. And then some of the comments I saw were pretty interesting. So of course I'm going to share my screen now. Why doesn't that look like the right screen? I guess it is. We'll find out. Yep, that's the right screen. So some of the comments were very interesting, and like I love the people who were chiming in saying, "Well, I hate QBO, so this is a great alternative." Because you know, essentially what it is, and for those who, oh look, there's Herky. What it is for years we've known, and I'll go back and share, you know, my own experience with this. Before I met Doug, before I was really even involved in, you know, our sort of small business accounting community, when I was just kind of out here doing my own thing, making videos and with my head kind of in the trenches, I had a client years ago who came to me, and they were already putting their live QuickBooks file in Dropbox. So when they hired us, we hadn't used Dropbox yet. This was quite a few years ago, and Dropbox was still fairly new. So, but they wanted to be able to access their QuickBooks file. There he is. They wanted to be able to access their QuickBooks file. I needed to have access to do my review, and then my bookkeeper needed to have the most access so that she could do the ongoing, you know, day-to-day work. And she was working on their stuff like 3 days a week. So we knew as much we knew enough to know that we had to keep communications very clear and open so that it was, you know, known who had the live file and to make sure it synced up before we did anything. But the point is, we were putting a live QuickBooks file in Dropbox, and I'll be honest, it worked. We never had a problem. We didn't have any issues because, you know, eventually I just had to develop a system to make sure that we knew who was in the file, if anyone. And so I did a whole video on it where you just drop a little text document in the same folder where the QuickBooks file lives that says, "Hey, Seth, working." And you just title the text file that way so that before I go open QuickBooks, I go into Dropbox and look, does that document appear? Does it say so-and-so is working in it? If it does, then I don't touch it. I get them up on Skype. I say, "Hey, can I get into the file?" They get out. We wait for Dropbox to sync up, and we can go in and access the live file that way. And I did this for several years and never had a single problem. Then I started paying more attention. I had joined Michelle Long's LinkedIn group, and I was on the Intuit community site, and I started seeing where people would post that, "Hey, Charlie Russell says that you shouldn't do that with QuickBooks live files in Dropbox because there can be data corruptions." And I got into arguments with people saying, "Look, I appreciate that people have written about this, but I'm sharing my own actual experience, not something somebody else has written, and my own experience tells me that I have no problems with it. I've never had a problem." And then eventually the time came when I guess I heard enough of it and actually talked to enough people who did have problems resulting from sharing a live QuickBooks file in Dropbox that I became convinced that, you know what, it's better, even if my experience proves them all wrong, it's still better safe than sorry. So I changed the model and said, okay, the live files go in a local only folder, and we put the backups in Dropbox so that if need be, somebody can jump in there and restore the latest backup. And then again, it still comes down to you need to have a lot of really good communication going around to make sure that you don't conflict, to make sure that I don't have a change in my version of the QuickBooks. Because here's what I think, and I'm surprised sometimes to realize I think that a lot of people don't really understand what Dropbox is doing. And what it is everybody who's in a shared Dropbox folder is looking at their own separate and distinct copy of the file. All the Dropbox does is when I go in there and make changes, it says, "Ooh, changes have been made. Let me sync this up to the web." And then once it's synced up to the web, I'm going to sync it back down to any other folders who are shared here. And so we're all working on our own separate copies of the file, which is why you can't have two people changing the same file before it's had a chance to sync up, or you wind up with conflicting copies. That's all it is. It's a sync. So now we're going to look at Qbox, which I'm curious because some of the comments that I saw in the LinkedIn thread were clearly where people were confused and they were saying, well, in order to be a hosting company, you have to be sort of on the approved list by Intuit. But this is not hosting. So I don't know, and I'm glad Woody is here to perhaps comment on this. I don't know, I don't think that applies here because this product is a product that works just like Dropbox, but what they claim to have that Dropbox won't do is the locking technology that's needed so nothing's trying to write to the QuickBooks file while you're in it. And what they've added to it here, and this is where I took a look at the screenshot, which I think is really cool, is it will show you that it's once somebody goes into the QuickBooks file, it locks it out and it lets anybody else who's sharing it know that it's been locked out, so that you don't have the data corruption issues, presumably, and you don't have to worry about...
If someone tries to get in while it's locked, they get an error message and it does not allow them in.
Are you asking us or are you telling us?
I'm asking.
My understanding is that they will be able to read only. They can go in and only, in other words, they won't be able to write to the file. They won't be able to make any changes. They will be locked out from doing that.
Got it.
That's my understanding. But what I wanted to do is, because I have plenty of sample QuickBooks files from tutorials that I've done, is take a free trial and have one of you guys on here also take the free trial, and let's share a QuickBooks file and let's play with this and see how it works. So who's up for that?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if, because of the, I'm assuming the .tlg file, the transaction log is in there too. And
he said that they locked that one out too. He specifically named the QBW and the TLG file, that those two files are specifically locked out.
And then the ND file for the multi-user piece. I mean, so I would be interested to see if you could have 2 or more users in the same file, because that's the problem with Dropbox, is that .nd file to manage who's in and out of the file, and I think that is the main problem with the Dropbox scenario.
Right, and again, his claim is that when I go into the file, it'll lock it out for editing purposes, so that it's not that we can both open our respective copies because the copy is local, but their app has a management feature that locks out the file, all those files from any changes being made to them, other than the person who's in there, as the one who's editing.
Okay.
And then it'll notify everyone. So that's why I wanted to play with this and test it out.
Totally.
But ultimately, I would feel a lot better if I knew that Intuit or somebody at Intuit who understands the product had a look at this and can actually tell us from their perspective, yeah, we trust this works, right? That would make us feel a lot better about using this product. Because the other thing is the product costs money. You got to pay for every user who's in there sharing a file. So it's aimed at accountants who have lots of clients that they want to do this with.
But if you have a staff, as I understand it, the staff doesn't cost more. As long as they have the same ending to the email.
Yeah, I think it's per client. So you pay for each additional client, and I think you may pay for the number of users on the client side also. That I'm not sure about. What?
I said that can be a lot.
It's not a whole lot of money. It's like $10 per user per month or something like that.
It's not much.
Yeah, but
I think
it'll add up if you have a lot of clients using it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, a lot of clients and a lot of clients with users too.
All right, so right off the bat, they're asking me to select a plan, which I don't like. That's not a true free trial, right? So let's go with just the simple Qbox Pro. Sign up done, check my email.
Seth, they've been working on this for a long time. They've shown it to us several times. I'm actually trying to look back at my notes because they got my respect as good techies. So I'm still not real comfortable because I just haven't really seen it in action. So I guess what you're going to try to do here is actually do it, but you need 2 people, right?
Yeah, so I need somebody else to play with this with me. So I'm going to put, one of my sample QuickBooks files that I use in the videos that I make into a shared folder in Qbox, and I need somebody else to share it with me. And then I want to go in there, I want to make a change, and kind of see both sides of it to see what that looks like and see how it locks out. And then I want, while I'm in, Doug, maybe I can have you or somebody else go in there and try and make a change. So now I just got. What?
Which version of QuickBooks?
I don't care. I mean, I can do Premier or Enterprise. Doesn't matter to me.
Oh, what year?
2014. I always like to work on the latest. But so I got the confirmation email.
Okay.
It says my Qbox account has been created. Sign with the information provided to activate my account and begin using. So, so I guess I just go back to Qbox.com here and sign in.
So the use case you're creating here is I don't want to afford a hosting company.
Exactly. I don't want to pay $50 per month per user to have my desktop version hosted in the cloud.
I don't know.
And, you know, and I don't need concurrent people accessing it, right? Because that's the whole idea here is I just need a way to share the file so that when the bookkeeper needs to, he or she can get in there and make their changes, and then when I need to, I can go in and review the books and run the financial statements and look over things, and then when the client needs to, they can get in there and do what they need to do.
But not ever in a multi-user scenario.
Correct. Clearly this doesn't solve the problem of needing to have more than one person in there making changes at the same time.
Right,
So
because
then
the database manager for QuickBooks cannot be installed up there, and I think that's the thing to remember.
Right.
And a few people asked, could I install Qbox on my hosted solution such that I could have it shared that way with other people? And the answer is basically no.
Yeah, so and what he said is absolutely the key reason. So in order for multi-user to happen, the data file has to be stored on a machine that has QuickBooks database manager installed.
With a valid license.
Well, that too. And that database manager
the database manager doesn't require a license, right? The database manager itself does not require a license, right? Because you guys can put that alone out on this dedicated server that Doug's talking about without having a license, right? It just manages in and out of file.
You don't have to have another license. Of course, you have to have one in order to get the database manager.
Right, of course.
A second to install it on that remote.
Yeah.
Right. But the assumption is you're installing it on your server in the back room, not up on the cloud somewhere, because you can't do that. Think of it as you always have to install the database manager on a Windows machine, and that Windows machine is something you have to be able to install stuff on, and that would be your server, but it certainly wouldn't be some random computer in the sky that does file syncing like this or Dropbox or something else.
Right, and the hosted solution is really just a computer that's at somebody else's location, but that's allowing lots of people to access it at the same time potentially. So you have to, that's what I meant by license, you have to have a licensed copy of QuickBooks installed on that server.
Right.
So that, you know, and then what's happening is, so now that's the license you're paying for, and if you have 3 people logging in to access that company file, you got to be paying for 3 licenses. So that's the key. Now, I stopped here in the process because the other thing I'm sort of evaluating always with this is how easy is the sign-up process? How easy is it to just get in there and start using this app? Okay, and I'm gonna say this part of it right here that I've gotten to so far so good. The email I got, it was honestly a little unclear because it said log in, but it didn't provide me a link to click on to go log in, right? So to me, that it's just a simple, stupid thing that is easy to put in the email that says, just click here to log in now that you've got your account set up, right? I had to go myself. They linked me to a nice video, and but still no, like, hey, just click here, go back to our website and log in. They have to remember, we all have to remember this when we're creating an experience for somebody else on the other end, and I learned this a lot with schoolofbookkeeping.com. Eric and I are constantly troubleshooting this in terms of what is the end user experience like when they come to our site and they're trying to use our service. And it's so important because so many of us are moving so fast that even very intelligent people are going to want it to be drop dead simple. I don't want to have to think about it. I don't understand what I'm doing here right at this screen. Okay, it tells me I've got a root folder based on the business name that I set up. Fine, no problem. Now it says add regular sync folders. Folders would be billed monthly, seed billing, and payments. So for each folder, which presumably is each client, I'm paying monthly. And so that seems clear enough. So great, I created a folder named SOB test folder. Now it wants an email ID. Is this my email? Is this the email of the person I want to share this with? And then it says, I guess I can check off read only so that it makes it so that that person can only read the file. So I'm going to try something. I'm going to put my email in, and then Doug, are you doing this with me?
I guess I'm gonna try. I'm just equally confused.
Okay, so I'm going to put in your email ID so that the idea here is it's shared with you and I. Wait, Bruce, did you say you're not?
No, that was.
Bruce is muted and away from the desk.
Who said I'm?
Doug did.
What?
That was Doug.
What did I say?
No, I thought Bruce said I'm not, meaning that he's not confused about this.
I thought I heard that too, but it wasn't me. Because I am confused. But I'm going to work with you here.
All right, yeah, no, let's try it. Bruce, are you there? Did you say you're not confused about this, or?
Oh, I'm with it so far. You want to play? I'll play with you.
Okay. So again, I think what's happening here is I'm choosing people I want to share this folder with. I'm starting with myself, and I'm adding Doug in here. Okay, so let's continue.
Well, add more red. Oh, okay.
And I'm sure there'll be a place to go afterwards to add more people to share with. So now it wants me, and this I expected, that I need to download, obviously, a local client to get this working. So I'm going to click download.
We'll probably have to do it too.
Yeah, I'm sure. So Doug, make sure you go in there, log in, and download the Qbox local client. Because obviously, just like Dropbox or even Google Drive, you have to download the client so that it will be able to select which folders on your computer are being synced up.
Makes sense.
All right, I'm going to show you my screen because I think here's the email. Where's the email? It's this one. Seth David has shared a video folder with you on Qbox. Please
don't accept it.
I wouldn't trust it from that guy.
Yeah, but
because there's a screen that he's got some profile picture that it's not kosher.
Yeah, right. I might see that.
So Doug, it looks like we want to click where it says, please click here to set up your free Qbox account. So this assumes you don't already have one.
I'm sure that's it, but okay.
Okay, and meanwhile, back on my screen, back at the Nerd Cave, it's now beginning the install process. So install.
Nice.
While it's doing that, Seth, the benefits again are what to do this versus hosted?
It's the same reason you would use Dropbox instead of paying for a hosted solution. One, it's going to cost a lot less than a hosted solution. And two, it's going to cost a lot less because I'm not going to get the advantages of a hosted solution, meaning I can still only have one person in the file at one time making changes. Let's be very specific, because from what I read, I can actually have other people who are sharing the file go in, but all they can do is it's read-only. Once it's locked out, it's read-only for everyone else who it's shared with.
Okay.
So they're saying that's what makes them unique, because they have that locking technology. That I changed my password.
Check this out. You have to really, really
want to read that.
Give up your third child, I'm sure.
Well, that is called CYA, right?
You know, Seth, another value point I think is, you don't have, even though it's not a multi-user and like Yvette's locked out while I'm in it doing some changes as, say, the accountant for my client, I still am not restricted by like accountant's copy limitations. So this would be probably a better option. It's kind of like a cloud version of, well, not really. I mean, it's kind of like the WebEx, or I guess LogMeIn, sort of, except, because that's kicking somebody out of their computer chair. Well,
that's the difference here, I think, is because of, and now it looks like it's asking me to find QuickBooks files, which I would prefer to just manually go and copy in. So it looks like it's got a utility, though, that will browse my computer and look for QuickBooks files. So I'm going to just click close, and that's kind of cool.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd want that.
Well, if you're going all in with this, then that's definitely a handy tool, because it can find all your QuickBooks files and probably put them in the folders. But either way, I'm clicking close, because when it comes to that sort of thing, I would always prefer to do it manually. So now I'm going to go in and find one of my sample QuickBooks files that I use. I'm going to drop it in. I already have the SOB test folder, I believe is shared with Doug, but that's the next thing we're going to test. So if I go into my video working files folder, and I'm going to pick on BillQuick here, because I've been doing a lot of stuff for them on QuickBooks.
So are you expecting the client to be setting this up by himself or herself, or are you going to do it for them? It seems like it's kind of complicated.
It depends. So look, I was able to
Good point.
mostly copy a QuickBooks file in here, Architect Nerds, right? And now let me right-click this test folder, because what I would expect, and again, this is all about what we expect. I would expect that I could right-click this and see properties, but maybe not. But while I've got this selected, maybe settings. Sync mode is auto, lock mode is manual, so I have to lock it manually, or I can say auto. Messages, Qbox sync, messages, Qbox tips, Explorer. So now, of course, the question is, how do I make sure? See, now it says that this is now locked by me. Now, why is it locked by me? I'm not in the file.
So the file is in there? Because I don't see it.
I dropped the file here into the SOB test folder. I don't know why it's locked by me.
It's going round and round. Is it still trying to sync like Dropbox does?
It could be, but I don't see anything going round and round.
See, there's a little refresh.
Clouds.
Oh, so but Doug, you're able to see that folder, so maybe I need to just manually unlock it. There it goes. Okay, so now it's unlocked. So I guess it was syncing up.
Oh, so maybe I didn't see it because it was locked? Oh,
Yeah,
look.
I guess so.
It was still syncing.
Okay, now.
Now the question is, how do I want to open up the QuickBooks file, right?
And this is the folder right here, right? On your local drive. See, it says users, Seth, documents, blah, blah, blah. So
yeah, so in my documents folder, and that's what I was just looking for. I was in my documents. That's where I expected to see it. There's Qbox. There's schoolofbookkeeping.com. There's SOB test folder. So SOB test folder is like the client folder that I would set up for that client.
Right.
And you know, let me go in, and that's actually going to be in Enterprise Solutions, Doug. So let me open up a copy of Enterprise Solutions, because I do all my videos with Enterprise now.
I don't have ES on this. Well, maybe I do. I don't
All right, then let me just create one in QuickBooks Premier. We'll just create a new.
I probably have one, but let me.
If it's easier, I have Enterprise.
I probably have Enterprise, but I just don't remember if this machine has it or not.
Okay, so again, now the question is.
Yeah, here it is. 13 or 14?
14, if you got it.
Yeah, 14's not installed here.
All right, then. Let me do this. I'll just open up the Accountants Edition. We'll create the Premier rather, and we'll create a new QuickBooks file. It only takes a minute.
Right.
So I'll open up Premier 2014 Accountant.
I do have it. I did have it open and it crashed. Maybe.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is all right. Open. Let's create a new company real quick.
I probably have some.
We'll do Express Start, SOB Test, Accounting or Bookkeeping, S Corp, Continue.
Again, our test, our scenario that we're solving for is Seth and I. He's my accountant. I'm his client, and I want to just use it most of the time. And every now and then, he wants to open it without sending the file back and forth.
Right. You could do that with the accountant as well.
Right, but without having to deal with the limitations of accountant's copy.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is a pain, yeah, for a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
So in a sense, the downside is I can still only have one person in there making changes. I can't have concurrent users making changes. The upside is it's a lot less expensive than a hosting solution, so if I don't need the concurrent users, then it's a great solution and it'll save me money. And I don't have to send files back and forth like Woody just pointed out. I don't have to worry about making an accountant's copy. So now I'm changing my settings in the company setup to put it in a test folder, in the SOB test folder, okay? And by the way, Woody, I hate the fact that I have to manually browse that I can't copy and paste the file path in. Everywhere else in QuickBooks I can do it.
Wait, what do you...
When I go to change, when I'm setting up a new company file, and I have to go preview your settings and go to company file location.
Oh,
if
wait,
I want
let me
to
look at
change
your
the
screen for a
location,
sec. Okay.
if I go to change location, normally I would get like a window, like an actual browse window, where I can paste the file path in to get there quickly, because I've often got it open on a Windows Explorer window. Here I have to, it doesn't give me a choice, I have to manually browse to the folder.
Yeah, that's lame.
One of those little things, like in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't come up that often, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's going to create the company file. This shouldn't take long.
Wow.
Seth, is this something you think you will be using then?
I don't know, to be honest.
You're just testing, yep.
I'm just testing it and playing around with it because I can see where it can solve a lot of people's problems, but ultimately, again, I would love to get Intuit's actual sort of comments on this about whether or not, as the company who makes the product, whose company file we're sharing, whether they feel, like some people are saying in the thread that I want to see Qbox on the approved list, but I think where those people were confused is this isn't hosting. That's what the approved list is for.
Yeah, it's not going to be on that list, but I can ask around and just see if we have some kind of statement on Qbox.
I think he did, and I didn't. It was late last night, so I didn't click over. But I think I remember seeing that the guy from Qbox, who was in the LinkedIn thread, it was in Michelle's group. But Woody, I can give you the link. I'll give it to everybody, of course. But where he did post a link to something that was in the Intuit knowledge base that made reference to Qbox. So I think it may be there.
I think isn't there a comment QBO? I'm just kidding.
So no, and that's what some of the people were saying. I don't want to use QuickBooks Online. I need desktop. Some people still need desktop. We know very well that QuickBooks Online doesn't do everything that some companies need yet. So there are cases where you still need to be on a desktop version.
It strikes me there's a cost to all this complexity. I mean, is the cost savings worth the hassle and the complexity of this, versus the simplicity of, say, the hosting? I mean, some clients may decide that it's more expensive, but it's less stressful to do it that way.
I mean, I think once you get past what I've just gotten past, which is the initial setup, then I think it's pretty low stress. So, Doug, what I'm going to do is I'm going to deposit. Doug, where did Doug go?
It's a subtle thing. Well, it's just work.
There you are. So, Doug, what I'm going to do, because I'm feeling good today, is I'm going to deposit $300,000 into the bank for you.
But here's the problem, Woody. Look at my screen.
Hold on. Let me look here.
It's like Seattle.
Or Seth.
Opening.
Well, so are you open? Oh, so Doug, you're opening the file that Seth just created?
No, I just opened QuickBooks. So something's wrong with my install. It's just,
right. So okay, so we haven't gotten to the Qbox yet.
Yeah. Okay, so now that brings up the next thing, because Bruce mentioned that he could play. So now what I want to do is I want to add Bruce to this. So let's go to. So how do I do that? How do I share this with Bruce? Maybe I have to go.
You'd have to invite him, right?
Right. So where is that? Where do I go to do that? I would normally look to right-click on the folder, so I could say, let me invite Bruce to this folder.
I think it was you invite him from the website.
Yeah, that's probably what I have to do. So let's try that.
So that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be an option right there. So I'm going to say not no on that. So everything installed beautifully, yes. So, but you know what else has gotten like that is ShareFile. ShareFile, I have to go onto the web to create new folders now, and then I have to go to the desktop tool to tell it to sync it locally. They've actually made it more clunky than it used to be in that.
Oh.
So here's SOB test folder. So here's share. So I do have to go on the website. Let's invite users. Bruce, what's the email? Bruce at
lrtaxprep.com.
lrtaxprep.com. So, and it's interesting, I could make him a read-only user, so that means that he would only be able to read the file. So now let's go back to Qbox. Now this should say that it's locked, because I'm in the file. I'm presently editing the file, making changes. So, interesting question is, why is it not locked? Let's go back to settings. Lock mode is auto.
I was able to get in.
So the question is, why isn't it, and if I do manual?
Well, you have to wait and see what comes up on Bruce's screen. Maybe it shows locked for me.
Maybe it'll be locked for Bruce. Doug, what does your screen say? What is your Qbox? Does it say it's locked by me?
I'm actually opening the file, or just about to. I got QuickBooks open. Anyway, my Qbox Explorer that you see says it's synced. It's exactly the same look as yours.
So it doesn't say locked by Seth.
It does not say locked by anybody.
Huh.
Go into it.
And you have it open, Seth?
I am currently in. Oh wait, no, not that file. Hold on. Why isn't it? That's right. I just created this new file and I saved it there. So here it is in the SOB test folder, but it's not showing up. So I probably have to get out of it so it can sync up. So let's try this. I'm going to actually close the company file.
Well, that's an enterprise file I just found too.
Okay, so it's showing up on yours now?
Yeah, it said I couldn't open a well, it was just because it was enterprise and I'm in Premiere. So you didn't put a.
Well, no, I just put in a new SOB test file. Again, I'm not sure why it's not showing up here, because locally I've got it.
I wonder if you're limited to one file.
It's not inside that
Client.
Wait, now it says SOB test.qb syncing in progress. Do not switch off the system until sync completed.
All right.
So I had to close out of the company file. Now it shows up. So it won't do anything as long as I'm in the file. That's good. And now it says it's locked by me.
Still syncing.
So yeah, it's going to take a minute. You know, it's a big file. So let's wait till the sync finishes, and then I'm going to go. What I want to do, this is what I really want to test. I want to be in the file, and I want to have Bruce and/or Doug access the file at the same time. Now this one, Doug, is in Premiere Accountant 2014.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what I have up. Oops, I just got the.
No, that's right. That always happens
Wormhole.
in Google Hangouts. Yeah.
I see those files.
There's space for a new person now too.
Yeah. Oh, you mean
Okay. So now, according to mine is still syncing.
But
so,
oh, I see. And I don't see it yet. Do you see my screen?
Yeah.
No, Doug, I just saw your screen and it was there, but it says it's locked by me. So that's good news because that means I'm syncing the file up.
No. Let's see. You did see it? No, you didn't. This
Go
is
back
my
to your Qbox Explorer.
Right
Oh,
here.
I thought I saw it on yours. Okay, well, mine's still syncing though, so let's wait till it finishes.
That makes sense. It has to go around the moon.
I see Architect Nerds.
Okay, so it says lock is released, so it just finished. Architect Nerds was the first one. That's the one that's in Enterprise. So now I'm going to go back into SOB test, and what it should happen is as soon as I'm in the file, it should say that it's locked.
But yeah, so notice that
yours still says it doesn't show locked because I'm still actually in the process of opening the file, and that's one thing I want to test. I want to, after this, so now it says SOB test has been locked. After making changes, close the file to sync and release lock. So that lets me know.
Finally, now I see it.
So
okay,
now it's
so all that time I didn't see it locked.
But what I want to try, Doug, is, all right, so Doug, try and open the file, first of all, while it's locked. I want to see what happens. And then the other thing I want to do is I'm going to log out of the file afterwards. You're going to log out of the file. And I want us both to try and open the file at the exact same time. I want to try and crash this thing.
Seth?
Yes, sir.
Secondary file. So you notice it's your secondary. You got two files open in QuickBooks. Don't think that matters, but just note that.
Yeah,
now,
no, that's because I have
that's fine. But look, I'm getting Qbox's action asking me, do you want to lock it?
But it should already be locked.
So before you say yes, go back to Qbox Explorer and let's see what it says. Because mine says that I've got it locked. Yours says that I've got it locked. So click yes. Let's see. Maybe it'll tell you, sorry, you can't.
Right. See, there's Seth has it locked, and it's asking me if I want to lock it.
So what that may do, though, is it'll be interesting. That might send me a notification saying, hey, Doug wants to get in. So, it says it could not be locked because I have the file.
Right.
So now the question is, and this would be really cool, is do they have a way inside their product for you to ping me and say, hey, I need to get into the file?
Yeah, like it would within the, So notice, so now I'm going to continue to open it, and now we're out of sync. Because it says you can view the file, but changes you make will be lost.
And hopefully you read that so that you didn't make a lot of changes.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I thought it wouldn't let you make changes. So that's very interesting.
So now
I got the impression from what I read that it would not actually let you make any changes, but I guess they can't really lock that deeply in QuickBooks, right, Woody? I mean, they have no way of getting that deep in the file to say, hey, you can't change anything. It just warns you that you're going to lose anything that you change.
Right. Yeah. You mean, are you saying that another person's in there, they have access to most areas too, and you guys are both in there doing stuff?
So,
no real way to lock somebody else out other than the security.
Well, there's the read, so
or
you
not
think
invite
you're in
them.
there. Yeah.
But when I read about it on that LinkedIn thread, the impression I got was that the guy from Qbox was saying that once I go in here, that anybody else who it's shared with would only be able to view the file, that they couldn't read it. But I guess that was a little vague, because what they really meant, and probably the more accurate way to describe it would be, they can get in and make changes, but they're going to get that warning that says if you do make any changes, those changes are going to be lost.
Yeah.
Well, and they have to
Tim's
pay
right about that view only in Enterprise. I think that's what you're saying before I cut you off.
Yeah, so I'm creating an item in this file that I should. Well, of course I can make this work, because I mean, at the simplest level here, I have a copy of a QBW file and it's on my local drive. It happened to have gotten delivered there by this thing called Qbox, but once it's delivered, it's mine. And the Qbox itself has a database, or a database, if you will, that says over the cloud. It says, oh, this file, well, I know about it. It's on Doug's machine and it's on Seth's machine, and Seth is the one that's the boss right now.
And so, Doug, I wonder why if you're in lockout mode with Seth, you could do something totally, I don't know, like create new items and everything, and then save that database on your system.
Right, because it always saves.
Completely unsynced databases.
Exactly.
Well, I'm guessing that once Doug closes out of this, Qbox is going to overwrite his copy of the file with my most current copy.
No, let him make a backup copy of it.
Right. Granted, if he makes a backup copy and saves it outside of Qbox, then of course he's going to have a file that's out of sync. But that's a pretty deliberate thing you have to do. So that's not the sort of thing I think you're going to do by accident.
It's a way of copying another database and it's out there.
Right, but if somebody does that, again, it's very deliberate. You have to really be thinking through what you're doing, and it has to be very intentional. That's not the sort of thing somebody's going to do by accident and then get out of sync. I guess that's my point, is I don't know if that's a concern I would have as far as this product not working for the purpose for which it's intended.
Sure. It seems complicated.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm curious. So, Doug, you made the changes, right?
And I quit.
Added an item, and you quit. And I'm still locked, so I'm going to get out of the file now. So that it gets unlocked from my perspective, and then with me out of it, I'll have you go in and lock it, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to close this.
It should sync it to mine.
Yep.
Overwriting my files is what I'm expecting. I expect some sort of message. Oh, see if the time. 8:47 is 8:47:49 is
so
what.
Now mine says syncing in progress. Don't switch off the system. So it's now syncing up from my computer. So my guess is it'll stay locked until that happens, and then once that finishes, it's going to then sync down to you and overwrite what you did.
Yep. And so my 8:47 will become 8:52.
So what this does that Dropbox doesn't do, really, is it keeps the file locked and makes sure that whoever got in it and had sort of control, that it stays locked on whatever they're doing until it's had a chance to completely sync up everywhere. So this lock is going to remain in place until Qbox knows that it has synced up my changes to the server, and then in turn sync down those changes to anybody else whom it's shared with. So that's, I think, what Qbox does that you just can't do with Dropbox without manually syncing up with people and saying, hey, Tim, I'm in the file, don't make any changes, right?
Right.
So now it just told you, Doug, I think, that the lock is released.
Yeah, and I just, I had created an item. Oh!
So now, look, yours says the syncing is in progress. So I wonder what's going to happen, because you're in the file.
Well, that's interesting.
So now it says a new version of it is available. Please close the file to sync the new version.
Oh, man, I wonder what that's going to do.
So if you close, it's going to overwrite your copy with mine, and you're going to lose your changes, exactly what it said. I
had just checked before opening it that it already was at 8:52, your version.
No, because mine hadn't finished syncing down yet. So that's why it gave you that notification. Now you've got my version. So now go open it. I guarantee you'll lose that item you created.
Can I double-click from here? Did you try it?
Try it. Generally, you can't double-click if you've already got QuickBooks application open.
Now we're going to see. It'll be a second file, I bet.
I always, if I'm going to double click, I always make sure I've closed all my instances of QuickBooks.
Jeez. Can I get rid of that? Okay, good. Open. I don't think that really worked. And I'll lock it. It's been locked.
Okay, now go to the items and see if your item is there. I bet you it's not. Nope. So that's what it does. It makes sure that once I lock the file, anybody else who goes in and makes changes will lose those changes, and it warns you. It tells you you're going to lose your changes. Now, you could have, before agreeing to close the file, like Gina pointed out, you could have gone and said, well, let me make a backup, right, before I close the file and lose my changes. But why would you do that? Then you know you're intentionally screwing up the system.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, my backup now I don't even want my backup because now I'm out of sync with you. The whole point is to have only one source of the truth.
No, but Gina was making the point that somebody could do that. Somebody could make a backup so that they don't lose what their change is. And, granted, we all have those clients that might be smart enough to know that they can do that, but not think that their changes can't be synced with our changes. Like I see people asking, like the one interesting question that I saw on the LinkedIn thread, which I thought was kind of funny, actually, and I try not to poke fun because, everybody has their experience and they're where they're at for whatever reason, but people were asking, do I need to have the same version of QuickBooks that the other shared user is using? And that's when I read that and I'm like, okay, don't you get it? It's the same QuickBooks file. Of course it has to be the same version. But I guess people really don't kind of understand how these things are working in the background. So that's why they ask those questions. It's not that it's a stupid question. It's just that the question indicates that they don't really understand what's going on with this technology. And that's what I think is important, is that if you're going to use something like this, it's very important that you do understand you're syncing a file up through the web to different people. What Qbox does that Dropbox won't do, that Google Drive won't do, is it locks the file out so that anybody else who goes in will get the warning. Number one, let me turn off my screen share here. Number one, they'll get the warning that says, hey, any changes you make will be lost, right? So they'll get that warning, number one. Number two, it keeps it locked until such time as I'm able to get out and have my changes sync up to the web. And once that happens, that's when you'll get the warning, Doug, like we saw while you were still in the file. Hey, an update is available. Close your copy so you can get the latest version. So from a functional standpoint, it looks like it works and does what it claims to be able to do. We still don't know for sure if there's potential for file corruption. They claim there's not. Woody, I would love to get feedback from Intuit, like we said. So I'm going to send you guys the link, and I would love to know from Intuit side, and believe me, I understand completely if Intuit says, hey, we can't comment because we don't know enough about the product, but at least that's something to know that we can tell other people out there, hey, Intuit hasn't had a chance yet to evaluate whether or not this product can be sort of guaranteed not to create problems with data corruption and other kinds of issues like that. It looks like from the locking on the surface, it looks like it's safe, but I don't want to go out there and tell anybody that unless I know that the company who makes the QuickBooks product, can say that they stand behind this, that they have checked it out, and that they feel confident that you don't have to worry about your data getting corrupted.
So how many?
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah finally got in.
So I have one question. How many clients do you think can wade through the setup and are willing to do that?
Yeah.
The company will do a lot of support. I mean, it wasn't that difficult. Of course, these things tend to come easy to me. But the only confusing part was that one spot where I had to put in the email addresses, and it wasn't really that clear to me. It looked clear enough that I was sharing the folder with people by entering the email addresses, but it wasn't 100% clear. Like, hey, add in the names of the people. It should have said, add in the email addresses for anybody you want to share this with. Right. That's what it should have said. And it didn't say that. It wasn't explicitly clear, and you have to be that way. So, Woody, I think to answer your question, one, if I was going to use this with my clients, I would probably wind up being the one to remote in with them and walk them through the setup. And do it for them. But the company also has, I haven't experienced it because as you saw, I just did it all myself, but the guy in the LinkedIn thread said that the company does provide the support so that if and when anybody's having trouble getting it set up, they'll help you. They'll help you make sure that...
I'd be curious, after it's set up, how easy it would be to break the link or break it by the client.
that's what I was sort of trying to do here by having Doug in there while I was making changes. What we didn't get to do was both go in at the exact same time to see how. I guess it's probably dependent upon whose bandwidth is faster in terms of who's going to get to lock the file. Like if we both hit open at the same time on QuickBooks, you know how Qbox kind of deals with that. So that's why I wanted to try and crash it, but we didn't get a chance to do that, and I'm out of time, unfortunately.
Right on.
So, Woody, it was great to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it was fun. Look forward to the next one.
How's the weather in Texas?
It's in the mid-80s. Yeah, can't complain.
Not bad. Not bad.
Not too hot yet. Not
Cool.
not like you guys though, where it's just perfect every day.
Well, yeah, pretty much. Pretty much in beautiful downtown Burbank, California. It's sunny and 72 on a daily basis.
Awesome.
I'm excited. I'm going up to Seattle next week to present QuickBooks Online to Shelley's group up there. I'll get to meet Dennis for the first time.
Yep.
Really liked your overview video you had a while back there. It's nice.
Thank you. And then we're going to be actually, hopefully next week, starting to release the first few lessons of our course on QuickBooks Online at schoolofbookkeeping.com. So
nice.
Excited about that.
I downloaded the Sleater's online accounting solution comparative book, the ebook that you guys.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's good.
Nice.
Good stuff. Going through that matrix right now. So, all right. Well, hey, you guys have a good day. Thanks for inviting me.
Excellent. Woody, thanks for being here. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. Be back. See you guys.
All right, guys. Have a great day. And don't forget Gina's Hangout today at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. Gina, any topic today or just open session?
Square rant. I'm going to rant on Square a little bit today.
Square rant, good or bad? I guess you have to tune in to find out.
Tune in to find out.
All right.
See you later on, everyone.
Take care.
Bye, Sarah.
Wonderful Memorial Day.
See you in person next week, Sarah.
Sarah.